Hello, good evening. This is Tope. This day, I am going to be talking about women supporting women better together. And this is one of the question is: are you, as a woman, do you feel alone and isolated? How would you like another woman to support you? So, growing up in Nigeria, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She had a store in front of the house, and I remember when she would be out in front of the store, and women in the neighborhood would drop off their children to play outside, and they would call out to my mom, "Hey, Mama Olu, your children are outside playing." And back then, it was a community responsibility to help take care of each other and each other's children. And so my mom kept an eye on all of those children, and it was a way for her to support her sisters, the women in the community, and they sometimes would do the same thing for us. And so that was then. That was back then. But now things have changed. A lot of women are either working outside of the home, or if they're not, they're working from home. And this also includes stay-at-home mom, because staying at home doesn't mean you're staying idle. It means that you're working actually from home, taking care of your family. And then what has changed again since then is that back then we used to live close to our families. So you can live close to grandparents, lived close to, hey, Tony, how are you? Thanks for joining. You can live close to grandparents, close to extended family. But nowadays we've all moved away. And so we're not in close proximity or close area to our extended family. And hello, Amber. Nice to have you join us. And so because we're not in close proximity to our family members, it tends to leave us feeling alone and isolated. I can speak personally. When I relocated from Nigeria to the US, good evening, Toyin. It's good to see you. When I relocated to the United States, I remember feeling alone and isolated. I didn't know anyone. Apart from my husband, there was nobody else. And so I recognized the importance of having other women to support in our lives. And so we've talked about why it's important to have other women support. One is isolation and loneliness. The other is that we need role models. So women need role models. We need role models. We need other women to advocate for us. So if you're a woman, for example, I work outside of the home, and I have other women that work with me. If there's an opportunity, I share with them. I advocate for them. So women have a chance to do that. The other is that we also, women can serve as mentors to other women. They can encourage other women and come alongside of them. So in the Bible, actually there's several examples in the Bible, but Paul was writing to Timothy, and he encouraged him to share this with the women. He said to Timothy in Titus 2:3-5, and it reads, likewise with the female elders, lead them into lives free from gossip and drunkenness, and to be teachers of beautiful things. This will enable them to teach the younger women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be self-controlled and pure, taking care of their household and being devoted to their husbands. By doing these things, the word of God will not be discredited. And so even the Bible wants us, recommends for us, for women to support other women, older women to come alongside of younger women, women to support one another. And so what does that look like for women to support one another? And I would like to go back to the Bible to start from there, and then come and give some examples of in the modern times. And so back in the Bible, if you remember the story of Ruth and Naomi. So Naomi was a Jewish woman, and she and her husband relocated to Moab during the famine. And they stayed there for some time. Her sons married, and so she had two daughter-in-laws. But she came upon hard times, and she lost both her husband and her two sons. And now she was left alone with these two daughter-in-laws. Well, guess what? Ruth decided that she was going to go back. Naomi decided that she was going to go back to her hometown because she felt devastated. And the two daughter-in-laws, Ruth and Orpah, wanted to come with her, but Ruth was adamant that she would go with Naomi, and that wherever Naomi went, she would go. She would not be separated from Naomi. And so Ruth and Naomi set out to go back to Jerusalem. Orpah returned home. And when they got back home, well, now Ruth and Naomi were hanging out. Ruth went out to look for a job, to take care of her mother-in-law. Actually, I don't think she even saw Naomi as her mother-in-law. I think she saw Naomi as a mom. The way their relation, both of them had a mutual love and respect for one another. And so she went out, she would get food and bring it back. And then in return, what did Naomi do? Naomi also looked out for Ruth's interest. Naomi recognized that Ruth was a young woman and she was still in childbearing age. And so she didn't want to be selfish, and she therefore decided to coach Ruth as to how to win Boaz, to like her, to win his heart. So this is something older women can do also. They can sometimes be matchmaking, or they can provide opportunities for younger women to connect with potential spouses. So Naomi did that for Ruth. And eventually, Ruth met Boaz, and both of them got married. And I'm just shortening this story, but you can read more about it in the book of Ruth. It's 4 chapters, so it's a quick read. But anyway, Ruth and Boaz got married, and they had a son named Obed. And guess what? Naomi became a grandma. Not only did she become a grandma, but she nurtured this grandson, this Obed. She nurtured him. So it was a win-win relationship. It was a win-win situation for both Naomi and Ruth. And this is something that happens when women support women. They create win-win situations. So Naomi won, Ruth won. So that's one example. Another great example from the Bible is the relationship between Mary and Elizabeth. So Elizabeth was first cousin with Mary. So Elizabeth was the mother of John the Baptist, and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Elizabeth were cousins. Well, you all know the story of Mary, how she became pregnant, and all the brouhaha that went with that. That was so abnormal. And, people having been pregnant out of wedlock, and people gossiping and, staring at her and giving her that, kind of look. And so she went to visit her cousin, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth was also pregnant at that time. Elizabeth was an older woman, and she was barren for a very long time. But at the time when Mary was visiting, she was also pregnant with John the Baptist. And so Elizabeth provided a safe place, a place of refuge for Mary. Mary stayed with Elizabeth for 3 months. And this story is in Luke chapter 1. And during that time, I can just imagine the conversation that went on between these two great women. How they encouraged each other, how they supported each other. One older woman, one younger one, both pregnant at the same time. I can sort of thinking I'm a fly on the wall. Is your baby kicking? What's going on there? Just hi, Loretta, it's good to see you. So just having that conversation, I can just imagine. But at the end, Mary went back home, and it was also a situation where Mary won, Elizabeth won. Hi, Jerry, it's good to see you. Mary won, Elizabeth won. Elizabeth won because she had companion. I mean, think about an older woman, maybe a woman in her 60s being pregnant. Now she had companion during that time of pregnancy. And then Mary, on the other hand, needed what? She needed a safe place to get away from everyone's gossip. She also had a safe place of refuge. And so again, hi Loretta, when women support each other, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. It's always a good thing. So now, how about modern day examples? So I've told you about the women in the Bible. So we talked about Naomi and Ruth, and we talked about Elizabeth and Mary. Now, how about modern day examples? I want to give a shout out to a special lady. Her name is Kia Stevens. Kia is the founder of Entrusted Women. She's a wife, a mom, a homeschooling mom, and she's also a writer. Kia began a writing journey, and when she started that writing journey, she was looking for other women of color. She was looking for a community to plug into. It wasn't available. And so guess what Kia did? Kia, because of social media, because of the opportunities that's there right now, Kia started a Facebook group, and she looked up people, and she invited other women of color to join. And so that group formed, and we provided support for one another. And now today, that group is now over 900 women strong, women of color, Christian women of color who are communicators, who are speakers, writers, YouTubers, podcasters, you name it. All of these women are supporting one another, all because Kia chose to step out. She couldn't find the group, and she decided to start a group. So that's what happens when women support women. And I know I can tell you personally that people have done guest posting, people have been invited guests on podcasts and various opportunities that are available. And so it just created an impact for everyone. That group now has morphed into what we now call Entrusted Women, and they will be having a conference in June for women of color. If you're a Christian woman of color and you're a writer, a podcaster, a YouTuber, or a speaker, you're welcome to check them out. So you can reach out to Kia at kiastevens.com, and Kia is an excellent example of what happens when a woman chooses to step out and encourage and support other women. She not only gains impact, but other women gain as well. It's a win-win. All right, so another woman for today is Lysa Turkiost. I'm sure many of you have heard about Proverbs 31 Ministries. So Lysa Turkiost is out at Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm giving out a shout out to her as well. Lysa started she is a wife, a mom. She's also a New York Times bestselling author. She's the founder of the Proverbs 31 Ministries. She's founded the She Speaks and also the Compelled Training. And what is Lysa about? Lysa is about equipping women to share their God stories. Lysa wants women to get their stories out there, and she's providing opportunities and avenues for women to do that. Her ministry, through her ministry, she encourages women to grow in their walk with God and to hone their talents as Christian speakers and authors. I mean, what a great, I attended She Speaks one year, and I was just blown away. I've never seen so many women. And that again is what happens when women support women. So there's a lot of opportunities for us as women to support one another. So I give a shout out to Kia and Lysa, and I say, great job, well done, keep up the good work. So here are the things that happens when women support women. Incredible things happen when women support women. Entire communities benefit from the network and support. You can see the examples I just gave. We as women are better together. Women who support other women are more successful because they share the platform. They bring other women on board. And you know what happens? Have you ever heard about the queen bee syndrome? That queen bee syndrome is killed. The queen bee syndrome is when one woman thinks, I'm it, it's competitive, and nobody else can share this platform. I'm not sharing with anyone. That's the queen bee syndrome. But a woman that support other women, that doesn't allow that to happen, brings other women on board. When women support one another, I don't know about you, but I know in my small group, we have fun. We laugh together. We cry together. We do life together. So women support one another. They laugh. They have more fun. And then women share experiences. Here's one thing I know about women. We love to talk. We love to share. And so we share experiences. We learn together and we grow together. And when women support each other, they accomplish more and help other women to have greater impact. Think about Lisa. Think about Kia, the impact that they're having. And when women support other women, they share opportunities and resources. So a woman that supports other women will point other women to resources that's available, will point them to networking opportunities, and just build them up. So women supporting each other create win-win situation. And lastly, women supporting each other empower women. So we empower one another when we support one another. So what are some tips for women who are looking for support? If you're looking for support, here are some suggestions. Seek out a woman that you admire and ask for support. Ask to be mentored. This may require you getting out of your comfort zone if you're on the shy side, but it's a risk that's worth taking. You can also reach out to women's ministry team at your church or join a small group at your church. And if you can't find the support that you need, be like Kia. Start your own group and invite others to join you. I remember that I started a small group of women Bible study in my home, and I ran that group for 13 years. And those are some of the best relationships that I still have ongoing even till today. So start your own if you can't find it. You can also search the internet to find local groups in your area. And if you have been mentored by other women, please pay it forward to mentor another woman. Find a younger woman, find a colleague, come alongside of them and mentor them. So personally, I have been very fortunate to have both men and women mentors in my life who have supported me, who have just encouraged me. And so my philosophy is this, to create opportunities for other women. So I point other women to resources. I connect other women with other women who can help them. If I can't help you, I probably know someone in my network who can, and I'm willing to point you to that woman. So this is what we can do. This is what happens when we support one another. So that's my story. And I just want to leave you with this. Friend, an empowered woman is one who empowers other women. Are you an empowered woman? In what ways could you support women in your sphere of influence? So think about it. I've shared all the benefits of what happens when we support one another. So think about it. Think about ways that you can go about and support other women in your area. So that's it. That's it for tonight. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on my Facebook page, Hidden Treasures and Riches, or my blog. And I thank you for joining me tonight. I know this is a little bit long, but I thank you for joining me tonight. And it's always a pleasure to serve you. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend. Tony, Amber, Jerry, Loretta, thank you for joining. Take care. Bye.